Hello and welcome to Vision's Uplift. My name is Billie Francis and it is a delight to be with you today. I look forward to spending a little time today. We're going to talk about things called equity and equality, and let's start first with a prayer. Knowing right now that this perfect instant is all that is needed. This instant, this breath. Take that breath with me very consciously. Relax, release on that exhale, and just bring yourself present. Know that these few minutes is dedicated to you, dedicated to your joy, dedicated to your abundance, dedicated to your love. All those qualities of God. We just take a few minutes together to remember who we are. So we're that now. We are that essence of presence, of good, of joy, of love. And I know right now that everything we need is here. So enjoying this holy instant together, I invite us now to bring our attention back, releasing this prayer with joy and with love. And so it is. So those of you who know me pretty well, or I'll just tell you, for those who don't know me at all, I am a baseball fan. And I've been a baseball fan since 1959. So I was just a kid, of course. So I love baseball. In fact, this was our family pastime. My parents enjoyed baseball. My sister enjoyed baseball. We used to go to games together when we lived in Los Angeles. We went to Dodger Stadium and before that the Coliseum. So we really, really enjoy baseball. And in fact, I'm still a fan and my sister is still a fan. So every spring we take off to go to Arizona for spring training. And we pre-arrange our tickets because my sister uses a walker when she goes to the games. It's just easier for her to use the walker to get into the ballparks. Now, when you go to the ballpark, they have a special area for people with walkers to use, and it's just basically the disability access. And people with her, including myself and our friend Janet, we can go in with my sister through that access. And then there's special consideration when you're in the ballpark. There are special seating, the disability seating. So we have special seating and we have to pre-arrange that to be sure that we have that available to us. And then there are ramps to get to our seats and people, special ushers who attend to us there. Now it's possible, can you imagine, that there are people standing in the long lines at the ballpark waiting to get into spring training games, or seeing us get that special treatment to go in that special gate. Or maybe even seeing that our seats are the ones that we picked out special in the shade for the ADA seats. And can you only imagine that some people are saying, well, why do they get to go there? That doesn't seem fair. And you know what? It isn't fair. It isn't equal treatment. They don't have the chance to take that shortcut, and they don't have the chance to sit in those kind of special seats up at the back of the section that just happen to be in the Arizona shade. And what we're talking about today is that thing that we look at about equality. And then another topic or another idea is called equity. And so we look at this definition, and I'm going to read one to you from a book called Waking Up. I always want to say Growing Up. Waking Up White. And that book is by Debbie Irving. So Debbie Irving, Waking Up White. And here's what she says. Equality means giving every student exactly the same thing to meet the same expectation. Or in this case, giving every fan the same thing to meet the same expectation, which of course in our case is to enjoy the game. Equity means both holding people of differing needs to a single expectation and giving them what they need to achieve it. In other words, it's a way of leveling the playing field. So we're going to look at this contrast a bit. The idea of fairness or equality or what's doing the right thing and cutting that pie into equal portions. Unless, of course, one of the people in your group is especially hungry. Maybe they haven't had a meal that day. Maybe giving them a little larger piece seems like the right thing to do. So equity is giving people what they need in order to be successful. My sister wants to be at the ball games. My sister wants to cheer on her Dodgers. Sorry about it, I happen to be a Padres fan. But my sister wants to cheer on her team. And what she needs in order to be successful is handicap access to get into that ballpark. My daughter has a couple of kids in school right now. They're homeschooling, of course, but one of them is middle school, the other one's in grade school. And I understand that in order to help the kids in that school keep up, that some of the kids that don't have computers are being given computers. And furthermore, the parents are being given tutorials how to teach their students how to use the computers, how to get their kids set up in order to be successful. Not all students are getting computers. Some kids already have them. But for the ones that don't have them, that is what makes this equitable, is it makes each student on a level playing field. They have a chance to succeed. Now, way back, some of us were in school, we learned about Darwin, we learned about the book he wrote on the origins of species. 1859, remember that? Survival of the fittest. And that sort of said, hey, you're all on your own. Everybody to themselves. You just have to fend for yourself, and if your abilities aren't as great, so be it. We're looking at this now again, aren't we? About having equal opportunity, but real equal opportunity. Equal opportunity for jobs and education and access to ball games and access to computers. We want to look at the real opportunity. My husband, father of my daughter, had polio when he was 6 years old. In fact, he and his brother both had polio. And I remember my mother-in-law telling me about watching the two of them running back to the house after they had recovered from the polio. But John was just a little slower than his brother. And she would stand at the front porch after calling them in and watch them run and want so much for John's brother to just let him win once, racing home. And so I think she planted that seed, and sure enough, David allowed John to win that race to come home. And they didn't have equal abilities at that time. And so there was an opportunity to make it fair, maybe give John a little head start on the race home, something that would make it really fair with equal chances to be successful. And back to Darwin. Darwin wasn't talking about survival of the fittest, meaning the survival of who's the strongest. It meant who can adapt best, who's most able to adapt to the environment. And this is the wonderful news that we have now, is that we have the awakening that we have now about adaptations. Think about our history. Good heavens, Darwin wrote what he wrote over 140 years ago. But right now we have this ability to look at adaptations. Look at the differences then between the able-bodied and people who perhaps are disabled. It used to be strong meant men, and now, 100 years ago, women got the right to vote. Isn't that wonderful that we can adapt our thinking from this original survival of the fittest, meaning leaving people behind because somebody was stronger or faster or smarter or had more opportunity. So this is wonderful that we're starting to adapt. We also know there's a thing out there called white privilege, and that's an adaptation we need to make, right? We need to have equality and equity, really. Equity for people of color. So what's the biggest adaptation that's going on with all this? We're becoming kinder. We are becoming gentler. We're becoming more equitable. And I think the principle behind this is that we have discovered this thing, this wonderful quality called abundance. Isn't it phenomenal to recognize that in fact there's enough even if we're more generous? Think about that in your own life. When you are more generous, and when I am more generous and I see that someone needs a little bit extra help or a little bit better access to something, or they need the computer or they need the wheelchair access, that I have more when I'm generous. I have the joy of having seen it and appreciated it and connected through unity with someone else. And so I have more. I have more abundance when I recognize that I can give even more. So this is the uplifting thought for today, is to give more generously, knowing that it expands your abundance. We look around our world, we see people and whomever, animals, whatever, we give generously of ourselves, and we all have more. I invite you now to close with me in a prayer. So giving thanks for this truth of being, this truth of equity, this truth of abundance, that we absolutely are that. We are that essentially, and when we say essentially, we mean it's God-given. We are that thing that is abundant, expressive, joyful, loving. Nothing about that is there any limitation to. We have joy and we have it abundantly. We have life and we have it abundantly. And when we give, look around, see our world, see where is that need. Where is the need? We recognize God's abundance speaking through us, living through us, and acting through us in ways that are generous and joyful. So gracious for this truth of our abundance and our kindness and our expanding adaptation to this evolution that we truly are, which is in God. I know this is the truth. I give thanks for it, and so it is. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you today. I know that we look forward to the Uplift as presented by the Centers for Spiritual Living called Vision. And please do enjoy coming back. We'll see you at the next Uplift. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful, abundant, and sharing day.